Good morning. Happy Friday. My name is Nioka Lynn. I hope everybody is well today. So this morning when I woke up, I immediately had something pop into my mind. And I feel like I was being inspired to share something that I had experienced. And I just love synchronicities because after I got done with my prayer and meditation this morning, I just popped on Facebook real quick just to say good morning. And a friend of mine that I've known for, I guess, 9 or 10 years shared a post, and it was the ocean. And you could see the waves coming up to the sand, and you can see how the water left the sand wet and everything. So that might not mean too much to some, but it means everything to me. I love synchronicities. So anyway, what I wanted to share was one of my little puzzle pieces that I received at a very early age. I want to say I was 13 or 14. We were playing in the road, and I believe we were playing kickball. This was in a village called Pocasset um, on Cape Cod, Mass. Anyway, we were playing, and this lady showed up out of nowhere. Now, this isn't like a city street. This is very rural. I mean, there's no houses on the right hand side and all the houses on the left hand side. We knew everybody, But this lady, it was a blonde haired lady, she showed up like out of nowhere, and she was standing there smiling in front of me, and she held out her hand. And I looked at her like, who is this lady, And she held out her hand, and she was kind of smiling, and it was like, take it. So I put out my hand, and she dropped this into my hand. Now, thank you. I didn't know what this was. I had no idea. So, thank you. I stuck it in my pocket, and as I turned, she was gone. So, I never thought anything about it, and I don't even think I really told anybody about it. But I stuck it in my pocket, and I kept playing dodgeball, kickball, whatever we were playing in the road. Now, that was 13 or 14. That was a very long time ago. I have moved numerous times. Um, I never gave that thing much thought, and no matter where I moved, it would pop up somewhere in my unpacking, and I'd think, oh, okay, I still got it. Well, I'd forgotten about this for some years, and when I had moved to this one apartment in Royal Palm Beach, I was going through some of my things, and there it was again. And I thought, I wonder what this is. I realized I've had it for so long. I can't believe it didn't get lost. It wasn't like it was a priority really in my life that I knew of. Well, I looked at it and I started looking up crystals, and come to find out it's a Lemurian seed. Then I thought back, and I got a distinct picture in my mind of the woman who gave it to me, and I don't know why I never talked about it. I remember back then I just shoved it in my pocket and kept doing what I was doing. So I looked up Lemurian seed. I didn't know what Lemurian seed was. I started looking a little bit more into Lemuria. And Lemuria, whether you call it fact, legend, whatever, was a place, I believe that they said it was like in the Polynesian Islands. It was South Pacific, around Indian Ocean and all that. Anyway, it was a place that very enlightened beings lived. And it's also been called the cradle of mankind. The Aborigines in Australia talk about Lemuria. They talk about how the Pleiadians came and seeded um, them. And they've talked about this throughout the years. I think it's been like 12,000 years that Lemuria sunk. Um, I think it was just natural cycles of the earth where the floods came. Same thing happened to Atlantis. Now, you don't have to believe that exists too, but I got to tell you, um, At first, it seemed like a fairy tale to me, but over the years, doing my little studies and research, they're actually finding artifacts, remnants under the ocean of all this. And now I might be wrong, it's just a thought that I'm thinking, but somehow I just feel like Lemuria is going to pop up again. I might be wrong. But anyway, so what was so significant about a Lemurian seed? Why do they call it a Lemurian seed? Well, story has it that back then they realized that the ocean was coming up and that their land mass was shrinking. Um, and like I said, they were very enlightened beings, and they knew how to project their consciousness. Now that might seem a little out there for some, but it's a real thing. It's a very real thing. They would project their consciousness, and what they did was they projected their knowledge, their teachings into these crystals. Crystals are very well known for memory, for holding knowledge, for holding things. And so this lady, she gave this to me. Now, this might seem a little out there, but I remember being at my job the last year that I actually worked. I remember being so tired and I was in pain. And there was like a little wall where I was at. And I was filling in on a cash register because we had gotten very busy. So I left my department and I got on this register. So in between customers, I just kind of leaned on this wall. And I was just tired and hurting. And I just happened to look over to my right. And that lady, that same lady was standing there smiling at me, just smiling at me. And I just kind of looked, and at first it was like, I know her. And then it hit me. I saw her in front of me with her hand out. And I thought, wow. And I got chills from head to toe. And I'm like, okay. So I kind of looked away. I got a customer, got busy, and I looked, and she's nowhere around. Okay. So that was that. And I'd been so used to by that time in my life for things out of the ordinary happening that it was like, okay, she's popped up again. So it made me think and go home, and I pulled out my seed, which I had with the rest of my little crystals there, and I just kind of held it. And then I started thinking about how the Lemurians used to project their consciousness. Now, mind you, they had no memory of a previous life here on Earth, okay? It was new. They were new here. So they had no memory. All they knew was now. And they projected their consciousness into things. They could project their consciousness into trees, animals. Legend has it that's how these centaurs, these half man, half animals, came to be. But they could project in a rock, in a crystal, in water. So I kind of loved that. I loved that. And I thought, well, if I was living in Lemuria at that time, what would I project my consciousness in? And I thought, oh, the ocean, the shore. I just love that. And I love how the ocean comes in. Well, as I said, I do everything by inspiration. I got a song. And when I got this song, I felt it. And of course, like I say, it's a collaboration. So I picked up my guitar and I started playing some chords, and I got the melody, and I just started singing. And it didn't take me no time, just a few minutes, and I got this song. I want to sing it for you. It's called Beautiful You, Beautiful Me. Now, before I sing this, I want you in your mind to picture how the ocean's waves come in and they hit the sand, they hit the shore, and they kind of like foam up or whatever. They just make this stuff and they leave the shore kind of wet. And sometimes if the waves are hard enough, strong enough, they come in and you see them kick up. And sometimes the sand gets caught up with it. And to me, it was dancing together and the sun is out and they're dancing in the light. Crazy, maybe. But it was just like so real for me. I could actually feel like being there. And so I want you to think about the ocean's waves coming in. Because when I sing this, I can imagine in my mind hearing the ocean in the sunlight. So this is called Beautiful You, Beautiful Me. If you were the ocean and I the shore, I would lovingly embrace the sweet caress of your waves as they come rushing in to kiss the sand, leaving behind evidence of your love, your essence, to saturate my very being. Together as we entwine, we would smile and dance in the light. Beautiful you, beautiful me, together we would dance in the light. Two hearts, two souls, together one love. Your hand I'll hold forever, because beautiful you, beautiful me, we will dance our dance for eternity. Oh yes, beautiful you, beautiful me, we will dance our dance for eternity. I hope you like my little song. So anyways, so about this consciousness, you know, when I thought about that, and I thought, well, how cool is that? How cool is that? How cool would it be to see a tree and want to experience being that tree and just focus your consciousness into that tree? I played with that kind of stuff for a while. And I was scheduled for an MRI. And I don't like those things. I don't like having to go through the ones that are like tight, like a little tube, you know. I don't mind the ones that are big and open. So I didn't want to take any medicine because they'll give you something to relax you, but I'm so sensitive to medication where I don't think I'd make it home without falling asleep and just like being in a coma for 2 days. So I was trying to meditate. I was trying to get myself situated and relaxed. So the lady, when she got me all set, she says, now you sure you're going to be all right? She says, look, if at any moment you don't want to be in there and you feel like you're going to start to freak out, just say so. She said, I'll pull you out. I was like, okay. So I'm laying there. I got my body relaxed. I started my breathing. And I just tilted my head and I was like, okay. So she started to put me in there. And I was in there and I started to feel that. And I was like, no. I got centered again. And in my thinking, I wished I was out of my body. I didn't want to feel that constrictiveness. I didn't want to feel that. Well, immediately, it was like I popped out. Crazy? Whatever. I was over here. In consciousness, I was over here. And I was looking at me. And I was blown away. And I thought, I did it. I did it. I left. It's my consciousness. Don't you know that you are not your body? You are not your brain. Your brain does this amazing function of keeping everything going. Yeah, and then your second brain, I call it the largest brain. Everything just works fabulously in this human body. What a design. But you are not your body. You are consciousness. So when your body is laid to rest, when it no longer functions, after it's served you all that it can, you still are. You still are. When I played with this for a while in my mind, I got excited and I started thinking about my son that passed away in 2004. And I thought, he still is. He still is. And then I had a dream. I had a dream that a friend of mine was driving me out into the country. And he had a small car, and we jammed this bicycle in the back of his trunk, and we tied it down. And when we got out of the car, I immediately grabbed the bike. In my mind, I was going to go find my son. And he went into this house, and I started riding my bike, and it was pretty rough riding through the trees, the leaves, the branches. And I was doing it though. I was searching for my son. And I got to this ledge. And when I say ledge, it may be like a 8-foot drop. And I didn't think I could safely maneuver my bicycle. I left the bicycle there. And to my left, I saw, well, I want to say it was a Mexican woman and her son sitting in a big pile of yellow and orange peppers. But I kept moving. I nodded, I spoke, and I kept moving. And as I'm looking through the woods, I saw this. I know this sounds crazy, but I saw this plastic tote, not quite clear, and it was sitting on a log, like a stump. And I walked up to it and I looked at it and I flipped the lid. And when I was going through it, I could see pictures that my son had drawn. He was quite the artist. I saw that and I saw some of his belongings. And there were red carnation heads throughout this whole box. And as I'm digging, it was like there was no end to this. I found my son's head. Yeah. I woke up. So I was a little stunned. It's not something you want to go find. But I was a little stunned and I laid there and I said, okay, what is this? What is this? Well, I looked up the carnations. And it has to do with, I guess, red carnation heads has to do with people passing. And his head, I asked, and I said, all right, why did I find his head? What the whole thing showed me, what they spoke to me immediately was his identity. Who he really is. Don't you know, Carlos will always be here. His consciousness has gone back to source, but he always is. That's all I'll say about that on that. Anyway, just please know that you are more than your body. Just please know that when you are in alignment and when you're focusing on beautiful things, following your passion, you're given synchronicities. They come in the form of people showing up, people giving you things, signs, numbers, dreams. It's all like a treasure hunt to me. And I love it. And I learn. And every time I learn, I feel empowered. I had somebody speak to me a year ago, and they said, there's just some things you don't need to know. Well, I beg to differ. The things that I need to know, I'm open. It empowers me. I don't use any knowledge I have to hurt anybody. I don't use the knowledge to gain financial whatever. It's not, my intentions are pure. The more I learn, the more I can grow and the more I can help. And I love that. Well, that's what I got for you today. My name is Nioka Lynn. Namaste.